What's up, everyone? Today we are going to talk about hair health, especially for women, but this can help some men out as well. So this is what you want to do for thicker and shinier hair. If you're already a subscriber to my channel, welcome back. If you're new to me, my name is Dr. James Nall. I am a chiropractor who quit practicing functional medicine many years ago, healed myself of a number of chronic mystery health issues using medical mediums starting back in 2016. I now coach others how to do the same and get those transformational, amazing results. There's nothing better than medical medium. People just tend to have a hard time understanding all the protocols and all the nuances. So that's why I do coaching. That's why I put out these videos so you can get a peek into this world. So let's dive right in. So what are we talking about here? We are not talking about male pattern baldness. Unfortunately, that'd be really cool. We are talking more about in females, especially when the hair just kind of thins out, or if the hair falls out, like alopecia, or if the hair is just getting really brittle and it could use some luster, kind of bring it back to life. That is what we're talking about today. And obviously, this is a very sensitive subject because understandably, when our looks kind of get affected, it can have an overall impact on our entire lives. So there's a lot you can do to heal this up. Don't give up hope no matter what you've tried so far. It's going to make more sense after we get into it here. So what do they kind of like lead you to believe is the reason why your hair is thinning, why your hair is falling out, right? Now, if it's alopecia, they might say like it's autoimmune. We know that's not true. The immune system makes no mistakes. It's finding, that's not the case whatsoever. They'll kind of blame things like your thyroid, maybe some other hormones. They might blame genetics. They might say those hair products you were using were too harsh, or maybe you had some nutrient deficiencies. Guys, none of those are the actual root cause of why hair thins and eventually falls out in cases like this. So we got to forget about all this because especially these top three, there's just nothing you're ever going to be able to do, right? From that standpoint. So these are just going to keep you stuck in a cycle. You're never going to get anywhere. You can have the best hair products in the world, but if the actual root cause, what I'll get to in just a second, isn't fixed or heading in the right direction, it's never going to be enough to overcome that. It's like patching a leaky pipe with duct tape, right? It's not a good solution. Nutrient deficiencies, that's getting warmer, but that's still nowhere near specific enough as what you're going to need to understand and do. So what actually leads to this hair thinning, the brittle hair, the hair falling out? It is all about your adrenal glands. And it's not necessarily adrenal fatigue, so you might not necessarily be tired or crashing out with those symptoms. But look, your adrenal glands are involved in many different aspects of adrenaline production, and they produce over 50 different blends of adrenaline that have to do with everything from getting good REM sleep to, digesting food, to keeping your hair attached to your follicles. That's right. That's one of the key hormones that they are responsible for making. So when your adrenals get burnt out, when they get overworked, and they're just not able to function how they should, their hormone levels become erratic. And they might overproduce for a time and then underproduce on certain hormones. So that's what we're looking at. So knowing that, we just have to know the right tools to bring in to start to heal the adrenal glands. But let's also take a look at what actually leads to burnout and fatigue of the adrenal glands. And this is an interesting one in that potentially it does not have to have a physical cause like a pathogen or a toxin like every other health condition. This one can be based solely on stress. So when we're stressed, we're all familiar with the term fight or flight. We produce those stress hormones like adrenaline. And if that stress is big enough, I'm talking like a divorce, financial bankruptcy, betrayal, loss of a loved one, anything in that category, if that hits and the adrenals are already not in a really good position, that can be enough to lead to this situation. And it's very tricky because it doesn't mean your hair is going to thin or fall out as you're going through that stress as it's happening in real time. it can have a lagging effect from like weeks to months. So it could be months after the stressful event takes place that you start to notice these negative impacts in your hair health. You might be like, well, that happened months ago. Is that really causing this? Yeah, it certainly can. And look, stress is going to happen to all of us on this planet. There's not much we can do to control or stop that, but you can learn how to fortify, strengthen, support, nourish your adrenal glands so that they can at the very least bounce back from those stressful events as quickly as possible. And one of the ways we do that is recognizing that everyone's high fat / high protein diet is very tough on the adrenal glands, because another one of their functions is anytime you eat a fat, even a healthy fat, but especially like fat from a chicken breast or dairy or eggs, or you nuts, seeds, any type of fat, your adrenal glands kick in to produce adrenaline to help disperse that fat out of your bloodstream as quickly as possible to protect your heart and your brain. I've made some other videos on that whole concept. Super interesting, fascinating stuff. So if you're eating a typical diet, it doesn't matter if you're, on the standard American, if you're doing keto, paleo, plant, but even vegan, they're all still heavily reliant on fat. You're getting fat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You just never take a break from fat. And that's a lot of stress and demand on your adrenals, also your liver and your pancreas. So that is something you want to learn to move away from, that reliance on high fat. And what you can do instead is start to bring in healthy, healing carbohydrates like fruits and potatoes and start getting calories from those. Yes, you're allowed to. Nothing bad's going to happen. Those are very healing foods. So we want to move away from that. And then viruses. Those can also throw off the adrenal glands. For example, when EBV is in stage 3 and it's trying to take over your endocrine system via your thyroid, your adrenal glands get called on to compensate and because they can make very similar hormones to your thyroid hormones. And if they're stuck in this perpetual cycle because you don't know the right way to address EBV, that can also lead to this adrenal situation, which causes the hair to thin and eventually fall out. So that's what we want to unwind. That's the big ball of yarn that we have to start peeling back the layers on so that you can start to heal your adrenal glands and get back your healthy hair. So conventionally, what are the solutions when you have thinning hair, right? They'll tell you, well, you got to get this cleaner hair product, which, by the way, is not a bad thing. It's a good thing to have cleaner beauty products for sure. Less toxins, less chemicals. That's good, but it's not going to fix this. They might say, well, you need your thyroid meds or you need your whatever HRT, right? I mean, they go as far as like doing PRP in some cases. They think that's going to help. Or you might get that general, you need to supplement with biotin and protein, which, by the way, are not going to help this either. So what's real? Like, what is actually going to help you? Again, it goes back to nourishing the adrenal glands. So learn how to swap out fats for healthy carbs throughout the day. And you're going to want to do a medical medium principle called adrenal snacking. And that is where you don't go more than like 2 hours max without having a snack of some type of glucose plus a mineral salt. So that could be, it's fruits plus vegetables, right? And you can get more dialed in there, but that's the principle. And that's what nourishes your adrenal glands. That's what your body actually runs on. So you want to build that into your daily food plan. Then there are some herbs like ashwagandha and nettle that are great for the adrenal glands. Those are actually kind of well known, especially ashwagandha these days. It's that's out there and that's helping lots of people. And then you can also supplement with silica. But you want to get your daily food routine set up in a way where you're not hammering your adrenals. You're not requiring so much of your adrenals all day, every day. That's the basis of this. And then these supplements are also great. So what's the outlook here? The outlook is great, even if you have alopecia. Now, sometimes it takes quite a bit of patience to see that hair start to come back. But if that's the goal, you can do it. Absolutely. You just have to get this framework in place and figure out how it's going to work for you. That is the art of the medical medium protocols. So there's no cookie cutter. There's no one size fits all. Remember that and keep plugging away until you get to where you want to be.